and tried to kill me. Let me tell you how that happened. I was 14 when my parents got me and my little sister a new babysitter. But it wasn't just someone, it was Yasmin, the hottest girl in my high school. She was 3 years older than me and out of this world. I was watching Netflix in the living room and she sat next to me and said, "So, you are Chris, right?" I'd never talked to such a hot girl, so I blushed and only responded, "Yeah." She said, "Cool. I saw you on the schoolyard. You are pretty cute. You must have a lot of girls running after you." I responded, "Not really." And she said, "Oh, if I was your age, I would date you immediately." Then we watched a movie together, but after a while she said, "It's so hot in here. I hope you don't mind if I take off my sweater." Of course I didn't mind. And suddenly she was only wearing a crop top. Wow, she had such big breasts that I really couldn't focus on the movie anymore. She said, "Do you want some ice cream?" I looked at her and said, "Yeah, sure." But for a split second, I looked down on her breasts and she noticed it and said, "Hey, so you like me?" "Haha, I don't mind. You can look at me as long as you want." Was this really happening or was I dreaming? When she came back with ice cream, she asked me, "Are you good at school?" I said, "Yeah, I'm pretty good," which was true because I had already skipped a class. She continued, "Would you be interested in helping me with my history homework?" I responded, "Sure," and then we sat down together at the kitchen table. I mean, I did all the work while she was on her phone checking Instagram. But after I had finished her 200-word essay, she said, "Thank you so much, my handsome boy." And then she kissed me for several seconds on my cheek. I tried to put my hand around her neck, but she said, "Nah. If you want more of this, you have to do more of my homework." I immediately responded, "Okay, deal." I mean, this was so much better than the videos I was normally watching online. So over the next few months, I basically did all her homework. And as a reward, she let me do all kinds of things with her. My favorite thing included my face and her breasts. You have to imagine the rest. Anyway, one day she asked me to prepare a presentation for her that required weeks of research and work. I told her I couldn't do it because I didn't have the time. But she said, "If you're going to do all the work, you can do with me whatever you want for 30 minutes. Holy cow! I said, "Okay, deal." But then 2 really muscular guys came up to me on the schoolyard and one of them said, "I've read your Facebook chat with my girlfriend, Yasmin. You said you can't wait to kiss her again." That's when his friend started laughing and said, "Ha, that little guy made out with your girlfriend?" The other guy got really angry and slapped his friend so hard that he knocked him out. He said, "Oh, damn it," and went down to check if his friend was okay. And meanwhile, I ran away. For the next 2 days, I was too scared to go back to school. And when Yasmin came back to babysit my little sister, she told me, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. My boyfriend found out that we kissed each other. He has always been easily jealous. It's so annoying." I didn't know what to think, but while we were watching another Netflix movie, I heard a knock on the window and turned around. Holy F, it was Yasmin's boyfriend. Of course, I was extremely scared, but I still walked over to the window and said, "Hey, how are you?" And he responded, "Come out here. I want to talk to you in private." Well, I had no interest in getting beaten up, so I slowly pulled out my phone and called 911. But then he took a big rock and smashed the window. As I saw him trying to come inside, I freaked out and quickly locked myself into my room. But then I heard him kicking against the door, trying to break in. I knew he'd be inside any second, so I picked up a baseball bat to defend myself. But once he had gotten in, I let it drop because I was too scared. He stood right in front of me, looking like he wanted to kill me, when... Zzz. Suddenly, he started shaking and fell to the ground. Behind him was Yasmin with a taser. She said, "My dad gave it to me." I took it out of her hand and continued tasing her boyfriend every few seconds until we had him tied up with ropes and the police arrived. But guess what his sentence was for trying to beat me up? He only had to change schools and got 60 days of communal service, which meant he could come back to my house anytime he wanted. Yasmin said she didn't feel safe at her parents' home, so she decided to move in with us. She slept inside my bed, while I slept on a mattress on the ground. But during her first night, she said, "I feel so bad I took away your bed. Why don't you come in here and sleep next to me?" Of course, I said yes, and suddenly I was laying right next to her. And because she was feeling hot, she took off her pants. And suddenly, I could see her in her underwear. Wow, I kept looking at it from under the blanket. And after a few hours of looking, I pretended to cuddle myself against her in my sleep. I even put my arm around her. It felt so good, and then she took my hand and pulled it towards her, which meant my hand was laying right on her breast. Okay, at this point, I couldn't take it anymore. I had to go to the bathroom to relax, if you know what I mean. This continued for several days until she came home crying and told me that her ex-boyfriend was extorting her with a video of her being naked and doing all kinds of naughty things. Either she would go back to him or he would send the video to everyone she knew. I told her she shouldn't care about the video, but she responded, "It's too embarrassing. I would die of shame." That's why she moved out of my home and moved in with her ex-boyfriend. Of course, I wanted to rescue her, but I had no idea how. And 2 weeks later, when I saw Yasmin at my school, she had a bruise on her cheek. I went up to her and asked, "What happened? Did he beat you?" She looked down, ashamed, and only said, "Life isn't always perfect. I have to accept what I can't change." But I got so angry that I thought about going over to her ex-boyfriend's house to end his life. I knew he deserved it, but I was also angry at Yasmin. I mean, why did she let him extort her? Anyway, when school was over, I followed Yasmin to her ex-boyfriend's home. And at night, I destroyed his whole garden and left a paper saying, "You think you can get away with breaking into my house? Ha ha ha!" I wanted to make him angry, so he would come back to my home and break in again. Only this time, I would be prepared. However, that never happened. Instead, he picked up Yasmin at my school, and when I saw them together, he kissed her, while also pulling her hair with so much force that she screamed, "Ouch!" He knew I was watching. And I got so angry that I ran up to him to beat him up. But of course, I had no chance whatsoever. He was much bigger than me and simply shoved me to the ground. That's when people started to gather around us, all laughing at me. He said, "Look at this little loser trying to beat me up." Everyone was laughing. Oh, had I had a knife, he would have been dead. And then he spit on me and said, "Go away, loser." But I responded, "I kissed your girlfriend. She hates you. She would never be with a loser like you if you weren't extorting her." He responded, "Ha! You think you kissed my girlfriend? You are just a little boy. No girl would want you." But I said, "Yasmin, tell them the truth. Tell them we've kissed each other." She blushed and said, "Yeah, we did kiss each other." Suddenly, everyone around screamed, "Oh, this little guy kissed your girlfriend!" And he got furious, screaming, "You are dead!" And then he attacked me. Of course, I had no chance of defending myself. I don't even remember what happened because he had knocked me out immediately. But apparently he kept on beating me for another minute until people managed to stop him. It's not nice to be beaten so badly that you have to go to the hospital, but it was all worth it. Because this time, he got the maximum sentence of 15 years in prison for attempted murder. And it gets even better, because the police searched his whole house until they found the USB stick with the video that he had been using to extort Yasmin. He got another 5 years for that extortion and another 20 years for forcing her to be with him, which means he won't be out of prison until he's 58. And there's one more good thing. After I had rescued Yasmin, she was extremely grateful. That's why she took me on a 3-day vacation to Miami. But instead of going to the beach, we stayed inside all day. More specifically, inside our bed. She wanted to make sure I had the best time of my life. And because we get along so well, we are a couple now. We haven't told any of our friends in school, though, because they wouldn't understand why a 17-year-old girl would be interested in a 15-year-old boy. But I love her, and she continues to live at my parents' house, which means that we are doing it every single day. Sometimes I come home late from soccer practice, and she will be waiting for me half naked on my bed. It's pretty awesome, but as much as I like doing it with her, she likes it even more. She is almost an addict. It's completely insane. And having an older girlfriend also forces me to mature faster because I don't want to lose her. She actually told me that what she likes about me the most is that I'm so ambitious and hardworking. She said we will someday be able to afford a nice house and have kids and a wonderful family. Of course, I can't wait for that.